And here we go.
Here we go.
And here we go. We're off to see the wizard. No, that's a different show. But let's see, guys. Does anybody here? Is anybody watching? Is there anybody out there? Can anybody hear me? Let's see. It looks like we have an excellent connection at the moment as we wait to see who will be joining us. And let me pop up OBS just to make sure. Yep, recording and streaming both going.
Yeah, well.
Woohoo. And well, there we go. We got Ray.
We got Ray.
Ray is the first one. He's usually one of the first ones pretty consistently. He's really quick. Jerry Hayes, been a long time. It feels like a long time since we went live, but it's only been a week or two? I guess a couple weeks. Renee, good to see you. D1 Israel. Good. That's interesting. Israel or Israel M. What is real? KK in the house. Oneness. Good to see you as always. Annie Lou Who. Hello. Awesome to see you guys. Thank you for letting us know, T. Lamore, that we're good on sound. K-Heads 2, salutations. Moonsprout, Trish Rudman, she's watching. That's awesome. JCB Stargazer.
Oh, hello. Where am I? Moonsprout. Hey, y'all. Trish. Hi, Trish.
Oh, my God.
Oh, and Will, Gray Eagle.
Will, where have you been?
Been a while.
I hope everything is going well for everybody there. Joseph, Burbo. It's just nonstop with the news, is it not? I mean, if it's wildfires or what we're talking about now, but there's more going on than just wildfires. Hey, there's Rosemary.
There she is.
We have a naturopath in the house.
Awesome. Always great to have a naturopath and a doctor. Say hello.
Hola, ¿cómo está?
Well, we're working on that part. We're working on, he's bilingual too. He's a man with many tricks. He's a good one too. Oh, and Annie Lou Who. Hi, Annie Lou Who. Rosemary, Dana Green, Joseph. Oh, it's so great to see you guys here. Wonderful. Why does it feel Christmassy? Xenomorphette, hello.
There she is. Good to see you.
She's the best. You guys are all the best. Thanks for coming to support the awakening. It's not an easy job, and it's going to take every single one of us to do so.
Yes, absolutely. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start this off with a bang. Or 3.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Yeah, you got to be careful with that thing. People have these sudden awakenings and stuff. So I like to be a little more gentle. But then there's Mike and go wham, 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 wham. But you know what? Last time we promised a gong and we forgot. So we owed you guys some.
Yes, absolutely. Stacy is watching and listening on her way to work. Good to see you guys. Yes, Ray, this is the Real Energy channel. Absolutely. I hope everything is wonderful over in Portugal, Nuno as well. So, guys, lots going on. And, before we get rolling again, as you might have noticed, instead of a duo, it's been a triplicity of fun in recent times.
Oh, my gosh, Lindsay.
Oh, Lindsay, you are so sweet.
Thank you for all you do, too.
Absolutely. We couldn't do it without you guys' help and the help of our friends, which I wanted to mention again. This is Dr. Joe, and Joe is in the process of getting himself up and rolling. Look at this, 2015 Higher Dimensional Shift Conference. And there he is. Man, let the good times roll. And this is a channeling from Dr. Joe's best friend and talking about the Archangel Metatron. And Terry can channel. She is another gift to the world like Cindy?
Yeah, the story with Terry, and I've told this story so many times, so I mean, it might be worth a brief discussion, since these are all new people to me, your audience, and you guys are all great. If you're following Mike and Cindy, these are great people. So, and they've become good friends of mine as well. Terry, she's happens to be like one of my best friends, and probably the best friend that I've had, and over the years. She walked into my life literally. I was at my urgent care center, and she's a hypnotherapist and an energy healer. And I had just learned about energy healing and hypnotherapy, became a hypnotherapist and an energy healer myself. And in a thought, I was like, how can I do this for my patients? I wanted to add that to my mainstream practice, as I owned several urgent care centers and family practices. And I knew I couldn't do it myself because it takes 30 minutes to an hour to do a session. And I was seeing a patient every 10 to 15 minutes. And as I had the thought in my head, how could I do this? I'm walking out, and here she's walking in the door, handing her card to my receptionist saying, yeah, if your provider would like to refer patients to me for smoking cessation or anxiety, depression, here's my card. And, I heard what she had said, but I just put the chart down and turned around and was walking back the hallway to see my last patient. And it dawned on me that was the answer to the question I just posed to the universe. And of course, I ran back and, long story short, it was like I've known this woman my whole life. She sat down for, a few minutes to discuss the referrals. And I ended up hiring her on the spot, and we had talked for like 4 hours as though we'd known each other forever. And since then, she's become like one of my very best friends.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing, and that's how things work with the guides and with manifestation. So I'll put down the links to Joe's Universal Talk, which does have videos up now. Just fascinating again to see some of these people out there like Richard Dolan. There's just so many, and yeah, so much to explore. And this is going to be his new channel moving forward, a Guiding Light, Lite. So 2 subscribers, and so yeah, it's going to expand because there's a lot of expansion going on right now. As always, we want to thank everybody for their support over on Patreon. We couldn't do it without you guys over there. And exclusives each week go up over there. And there's a lot that we will be sharing. I have been putting together a lot when it comes to energy work in my mind about how to tackle a very, very deep and expansive playlist, which will cover everything from Reiki to Pranic healing to Qigong and medical Qigong, and even expand into other areas as well. So we're looking over here at some of the wildfires going on in South Carolina. South Carolina and North Carolina both are facing a lot of wildfires at the moment. So, again, we want to put out our prayers and best intentions for everybody, and this is probably going to do that forever. They always do that where they pop up again and again. Evacuations ordered. 175 wildfires erupt across South and North Carolina. It says, dry and windy conditions, but the reality is it's not that dry. It really is not that dry, guys. Nothing like what we've seen out west. And, I lived in both Carolinas for many years. Love them both. They are definitely dear to my heart. That's probably the area that feels the most like home to me of pretty much anywhere, except for where we are now, which feels pretty similar. And 175 wildfires erupting, just popping up in like no time. Horry County, Spartanburg, Oconee, Union, Pickens counties. South Carolina, but North Carolina as well, even over into Georgia and Alabama, close to the Tennessee border. It's just something feels fishy here. Something feels fishy. People were saying, too, that they seem to pop up right when the money was drying up going to Ukraine. It's like as soon as that speech aired with, Trump sending Zelensky out of the White House with no cashola, all of a sudden, next thing we know, we got fires popping up all over the place. So, here you go. One of the biggest of them was threatening residents in the Carolina forest near Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Horry County. Quick spreading fire in the Carolina forest had burned more than 1,200 acres by Sunday morning and was threatening the communities of Walker's Woods and Avalon, according to the South Carolina Forest Commission. Fire was 0% contained. Fire was also threatening homes within the city limits of Myrtle Beach, prompting more evacuations. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster issued an executive order on Sunday declaring a state of emergency to support ongoing response to wildfires ravaging the state. The order enhances ongoing emergency response efforts to firefighters' work to contain the wildfires affecting other regions. I just... It doesn't feel very au naturel, if you know what I mean. So he said that means you can go and will go to jail for starting a fire outdoors in South Carolina, period. So no burn in effect, and it's under investigation, because, again, these popping up in various areas spontaneously. Well, we've wondered about those sleepy cellular units that have been put into place. And when would things really start to happen? Here you see another large wildfire about 35 miles south of Myrtle Beach broke out Saturday, threatened homes in Georgetown County, South Carolina, prompted evacuations in the town of Prince George. The fire, according to Prince George Fire Department, had grown to more than 800 acres by Sunday morning. Firefighters were gaining the upper hand on the blaze, and nearly all evacuations have been lifted there. Again, that fire is under investigation. I should say. The Prince George fire flared up in an area where firefighters were conducting a prescribed or controlled burn earlier this week. Near Arcadia Plantation, according to Jackie Broach, a spokesperson for Georgetown County. Over in Pickens County, another fire was burning Sunday morning in the 6 Mile Mountain area, prompting evacuations. Firefighters quickly responded to the 6 Mile Mountain fire, stopping it from spreading to homes, according to the sheriff's office. It was 85% contained after burning about 300 acres. Over in Polk County, North Carolina, right on the border with South Carolina. A fast-moving brush fire ignited just after 2 p.m. local time on Saturday and grew overnight, threatening the towns of Melrose, Tryon, and Saluda, where mandatory evacuation orders were issued. Polk County fires started about 1:30 p.m. on Saturday. So the timing's not far off from the other one. Caused by a downed power line, they say, near Highway 176. By 9 p.m. Saturday, the blazes spread to 400 acres with no containment reported, according to fire officials. Dry and breezy conditions were prompting red flag warnings across much of the southeast on Saturday into Sunday. Most of the red flag warnings expired by Sunday morning as the winds calmed down. But other areas in the southwest are bracing for critical fire weather on Sunday into Monday, including New Mexico and Texas. Oh, boy. When you see that extreme right here, this area over here, it is, again, an area that has experienced some intense fires in the not-too-distant past, actually, wiping out a couple beautiful, beautiful towns. Here you can see the drought monitors. So when you look at it, the conditions in the east are not, that abnormal at all. They're not, extreme like what you see over here still through the west. Much, much more prone to, spontaneous fires and seem, I would be inclined to think, much more believable. Now, if we go and we look, you can see there's a lot of fires going on. Now, I look at this map regularly, and so, it's not too far out of the norm, really. But again, to have so much over here in the east, seems a little unusual, and especially just the way these things popped up out of the blue.
Yeah, I mean that is quite odd, and it's so pointed too. I mean, it's such a pointed place. It's like, and you keep seeing these lists about these particular kind of cities, and boy, these things keep showing up right around there, and they're very isolated. I mean, I think maybe some people might say, well, it's the sun, we got to watch the sun, but it's so isolated. That's the thing that I have with it, and it just happens to be a place that's on one of those lists.
Yeah, Mike, did you mention like what Myrtle Beach is about ready to?
That's yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the next thing we're getting to. Now, first off, you have this. You have the question: are insurance companies pulling out of South Carolina? Yeah, absolutely. And in addition, more than 12 insurance carriers in South Carolina became insolvent from 2021 to 2023. Another 6 opted to exit the state entirely. Why? Why? What are they up to?
The beach is currently burning to the ground,
and this is somebody talking about it and giving you another insight in case you don't know. Myrtle Beach announces first living lab participants as part of a smart city initiative. Oh, purely coincidental, isn't that? Yeah, this was from August 26, 2024. The city of Myrtle Beach says it's formally launching its initiative towards becoming a smart city with help from companies moving to the city. The city announced Monday the first participants of its Living Lab, which describes as an innovative public-private partnership designed to support the development of emerging technology and encourage entrepreneurs to use Myrtle Beach as their hub. Chief Innovation Officer for the city, Howard Waldy IV, said Myrtle Beach is the perfect spot. What a better place to start your launch and have a legacy other than Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. The city said it will provide the space and environment for local businesses, small businesses, and large corporations as a testing ground for new technology. This also includes testing appropriate technologies within city limits. We're actually going to help them test their product in a real-life scenario. It's one way the city hopes to help small and startup companies test their products before offering them to a wider audience. Officials also said some companies, as part of the Living Lab, may be in the program for as little as 3 months. Others could be involved for a year or more. First participants announced by the city are Cocoa Flow Innovations, provides cloud-based city services including business licensing, emergency alerts, payments, development planning, Parks and Rec, citizen communications. Cocoa Flow's mission is to help communities achieve an effective collective communication flow. Heart and soul of the platform uses the latest technology to enhance engagement to forge a closer relationship with the community. Rept and Palco are 2 complementary platforms designed to collect residents' input, share key city updates, and address frequently asked questions. And then Depend Build, a risk and knowledge management software focused on helping municipalities improve project outcomes through sound risk and knowledge management practices. The software helps city infrastructure projects stay on time and budget through increased risk mitigation, data accessibility, and operational efficiency. So yeah, absolutely, Smart City Initiative, Myrtle Beach. Fires, this is where the main fire was, Horry County, just a little bit south of Myrtle Beach. Yeah, there's nothing but coincidences here.
No, nothing to see here. Absolutely nothing to see here except for this cruise ship. Oh my gosh, when I saw that, it really it turned my insides, because these things are made to handle some waves. So I don't know about this. It doesn't feel, it would really throw me off my my day if I were there and that happened in a ship as big as that.
Was there like a tsunami watch, or like how did something, like how did a wave so big create such havoc in this large ship?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. what can you say? There have been some cruise ship incidents in the past with rogue waves. And, it makes me wonder, too, about USOs. It really does. UAPs, USOs, underwater submerged objects that we don't know what they are, as well as different technologies. This particular one, what was supposed to be a peaceful 2-week cruise from Sydney turned chaotic when the Crown Princess got slammed by strong winds near Milford Sound, a famous fjord on New Zealand's South Island. Passengers clung to tables as the ship tilted, sending furniture flying, dishes crashing, and even the swimming pool sloshing like a giant bathtub. Princess Cruises insists the ship was never in danger, but 16 passengers and crew members might disagree. Oh, man. You want to talk about terrifying?
That's horrible.
I was on a cruise ship one time to the Bahamas, and we caught the tail end of a hurricane. And I was in the lower third, I would say, on the ship. So I wasn't looking out the window seeing water, but it was like right below us. And I was watching the ship go up and down and up and down. And I mean, it was tolerable, but it wasn't near this bad. And so again, I'm like, I mean, these waves had them been very, or a rogue wave, like what causes a rogue wave other than like a tectonic movement under, or like you said, a USO or a tsunami from an earthquake. I mean, it's perplexing to me.
Well, the other thing too is I know that one of the windiest places on the planet is south of Tasmania. So there is like this straight line wind phenomenon, but still it feels unusual. And so while we're here, as you can see, this was down around the South Island, which is actually, that's the colder of the two islands. And, there have been some of the strongest winds ever recorded down in this area. But then also we have that South Atlantic anomaly that's over here. And we had that weird phenomena, if you guys remember, that into thin air, and we were covering it too. There's this weird island down there, and there may very well be some technologies down there. I mean, Cindy has picked up on technologies down there that, again, are not coming from any of our current militaries. The real control system, that's part of it. Now, over here, this, in case you have forgot, we literally have the separation of a part of Africa that's transpiring. And, I think we're going to take a look at a few things that we have done videos in the past, but I keep seeing people pulling up and talking about, and I keep just bringing it up myself, that these changes, I think, again, they tell you, well, this is separating, and you're going to have, one of the largest islands in the world, or if they're going to categorize it as a continent like Australia, because this is going to separate. But don't worry, it's going to take millions of years. I think things move a lot quicker than they tell us. For one, again, the recreation of Earth from what was Tiamat, from what we've gotten from the guides, that wasn't all that long ago. And then we've talked many times about the fact that when you looked at maps from pre-1700, they all show California as an island. It's an island. Every one of them shows them as an island. After 1700, then you see it where it's attached. Now, again, logic that they give us is that they just, they didn't know, even though the sailors and explorers that conveyed all their information had traveled all the way on up to Washington, Oregon, etc. One thing you might not even realize, again, Russia had outposts in both Washington, Oregon, and northern California, in case you didn't know that, before the U.S. actually took possession of the West Coast there. Russia had outposts there, and of course Alaska was Russia's as well. But was it really Tartaria? What's really going on? Again, there's so many different things that we could always deep dive into. It's just fascinating. The real history, they're never going to tell us the real history. But here you go. Major sudden stratospheric warming forecast. Why does that give me chills when I see that terminology? Major polar vortex collapse of the season signals mid-March freeze. So the final polar vortex collapse of the 2024-2025 winter season is forecast to occur in mid-March as a strong stratospheric warming event develops, potentially leading to some significant weather disruptions across the northern hemisphere. Here you go again. They've had these before, and then we've gotten hit with some record-breaking storms and unusual situations. Now, this event is expected to be much stronger than the previous one. Wow, and will mark the final collapse of the season. Next polar vortex in the stratosphere will not form until the 2025-2026 winter season. The wind forecast indicates a reversal from the usual westerly to easterly flow, signaling a major sudden stratospheric warming event. This leads to a temperature increase in the stratosphere, and this disrupts the circulation patterns. Yeah, feels like they are setting us up for something. SSW events are notorious for destabilizing the jet stream, high-altitude wind band that steers weather systems. A weakened or meandering jet stream often opens the door for frigid Arctic air to plunge into the mid-latitudes while shoving milder air eastward. Current models suggest cold air is pooling over western Canada and western United States, potentially priming the region for biting freezes, heavy snow, or ice storms, depending on your local conditions. Meanwhile, a warm air mass is retreating from the eastern U.S., suggesting stark temperature divide that could fuel extreme weather contrasts. Think blizzards in the Rockies while the southeast basks in unseasonable warmth. Here we go again. Actually, long-term forecast for the southeast, of which we are basically a part, is for it to be above normal temperatures from what I've seen as far as this spring. Tropical cyclone Garance kills 4 and leaves over 180,000 without power. And this is in Reunion. Yeah, the storms, they never stop. These once-in-a-100-year events, again, they're like once-in-a-week event.
Yeah, one of the variables that we, many people don't consider, but I'm sure your listeners are aware of, is the chemtrails, the various technologies such as HAARP, and it's one of those things that I've been following this for a while, and I have on my phone, I took pictures of radar where I have these snapshots of, it's like a 360 degree circle, and you can see how it's being pulsed. And I'll give you some of these pictures, Mike, so that you can put it up on one of your next broadcasts, because it's fascinating. This was years ago, and of course, as a pilot, you're looking at the weather chronically to make sure you're not going to get into any ice or anything. And so as I'm watching it, I'm like, hey, what would actually create this aside from some technology that we're not aware of?
Well, this is part of the stark realization that hits us. And, so Joe has been helping us. We are in the process of putting up for sale a home. Yay! But, again, everything in this world is got to be approached with a temporary aspect. So, you think you find the perfect place, and again, something could happen. And there's so many people now in the Carolinas with the fires. Just craziness what we're witnessing. You can see here the cyclone over by Madagascar, and it's just, I think people are numb to it now as far as one big crazy weather-related disaster after another. Jared Boosters, if you haven't seen Jared Boosters, his channel is a good one too for more of those deep dives into our past. Very similar maybe to John Levy and My Lunch Break and some of the other ones that are covering these type of things. He was just talking about that Pennsylvania flood, and Joe's very familiar with the area back in 1889. That was insane. I mean, just a horrible flood. We should look at it in a little more depth and detail. But it's really pretty equivalent, I would say, to what we had in Western North Carolina, right in just months ago in 1889. I mean, just absolute chaos. And somehow the local Masonic Lodge seemed to make out okay. A lot of weird things there. It's just, this has been going on a lot more and a lot longer than most people realize.
Yeah, so that was the Johnstown flood, and it's like, so if you Google that, and there's a plethora of videos on YouTube. Who was that gentleman we watched the other day? I mean, that was a really good deep dive into it that we watched. It was, and the place is like 45 minutes from my hometown, and so people still talk about it today. So if we, you look up, what was it? Was his name Jared? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Jared Boosters. It's this one right here, the 1889 Johnstown flood. Jared does a good job. He is one of the ones that I'll just sit back and watch. So when you see this, it is just like a replay in so many ways of what we saw with the hurricane. But in this case, it wasn't a hurricane, and it wiped out everything. I mean, this was horrible. And everything that was in the way of this flood, again, a dam gave way. It wasn't really set up properly. And everything gets wiped out, but somehow there was foreknowledge of the possibilities of this type of devastation. And as we said, there was knowledge that the local Masonic Lodge had apparently didn't get shared in time. And just another catastrophe, I think, very, very similar to what we just saw in Western North Carolina and Tennessee.
And this has just been ongoing for so long. And I mean, my thoughts and beliefs on it are, this is coming from different beings that we are not used to, that have technology that can do crazy things, and they've always had it. So you look way back, and I feel they have way too much power.
Yeah, not to mention that our own government has some technology that probably is like 20 to 100 years in advance of what they've released at this point. And we always see that. I mean, I remember back in the 80s, they come out with the stealth bomber after they've had it for however many years, 10, 15, 20 years, and it was like something amazing. But who knows what technology they have now. And in this gentleman, Jared, he does such a great job, and he asks some of the important questions, like, look at this, and you're like, oh yeah, like, that doesn't even make any sense. And some of the historical events that he actually goes through, it's definitely worth the 20 minutes to watch.
Yeah, and I'm so encouraged to see people speaking up and exposing this, because again, you may realize that Maui and California, and then we have the events that took place on the Pennsylvania-Ohio border, with all those toxins, and then obviously California fires. Now we're talking South Carolina fires, and then the floods. This just is always ongoing, and you always find these mysterious little details in there about officials like having knowledge of this ahead of time. Again, this is 130 something years ago. So it really blows away a lot of paradigms and a lot of theories, because again, if you throw out either the fact that there's extraterrestrials with advanced technology, leftover people from other mass catastrophes that held onto their knowledge, like, going way back to the Younger Dryas event. And just say that the Younger Dryas event, at that point in time, there were people that had, technology similar to now, let's say, just similar to what we have right now. If they were able to maintain it, even though the rest of the world lost it, then you're talking about thousands of years ahead, even if we're talking about other humans here. So, again, we've had these resets time and time and time again. The more you look into them, the more you realize that the control system is so far beyond what we are given as having, available to us technologically.
And Karma Doc is in the house. How about that? Been a while since we've seen you. Yes, there's so much going on. And if you look at the details, it's just nauseating. I mean, it's nauseating because you see this time and time again. And those who write the history books and those who have the direct evidence, it seems like they're on two completely different planets. When you go through and look at what's on Wikipedia and then you go through and look at the actual documentation, it's like, where is all this coming from?
Yeah, some of these deep dives that we've been doing recently, and you're looking at the structure of the buildings and the time frame that they arrived there, and the time that they allegedly got the city to a point. It's just ridiculous. And even in those days, I don't know if it was like say we're talking about the late 1800s or the early 1900s, and you have these stone carved structures with statues that are embedded within them, which it looks like. In fact, we were just looking at one from Philadelphia, and it looked like you wouldn't know it, but it would be from Roman times. It was like, wait a minute, this can't be Pennsylvania and Philadelphia, right? And so, to me, it's almost laughable that we don't consider that there were other more advanced civilizations prior to us right now.
Yeah, so, again, these are guys that I really enjoy. John Levy, again, he did that one today. That's what Joe was talking about. When you look, I mean, and this is something else. Now, this thing is it has Anunnaki written all over it. It really, really does. This is in the Republic of Georgia. But when you're looking at some of these others, and he's putting these connections together, these giants, it's the ancient gods. This is the Anunnaki that's being remembered. And in Cleveland, Ohio, there's massive statues in this bridge. Doesn't this remind you of Lord of the Rings? These like 300-foot tall statues of the gods, quote unquote. Oh yeah, it feels like Lord of the Rings, but when in Lord of the Rings they talk about all the elves and the dwarves and these other beings leaving us and sailing off into the west. Well, the reality is, again, what we have gotten is that we are only on about 25% of the planet. And this is why a lot of people think the Earth is flat, because the proportions don't jive with what we actually experience as far as the curvature of the Earth. But it's just way larger than we are told, and there's a lot that we never set foot on. We're basically in a quarantine zone, and isn't that just so ironic? Here we are, we're in a quarantine zone, even when there's no official plague upon the land keeping us in quarantine. Going back, and I just wanted to reiterate again, Jared Boosters, if you're not subscribed, good guy, does a lot of great work. Mind Unveiled is unparalleled. If you have 10 hours for one video, he's done it. I mean, these kids are just awesome and very entertaining. And then, of course, John Levy as well. Just good stuff, guys. Really, really good stuff. A lot of deep dives. When you start looking at, 3, 4, 5, a half dozen of the channels that are covering these type of things, and you see everybody is digging up some new stuff, and we're working together to try to piece these things together. And then we have gifted psychics that can look into it in remote view, like Cindy. and there are more of them out there. Again, Joe's Terry was doing what Cindy was doing 12, 15 years ago. So, we're coming into a period of great illumination.
Well, that's the good news. And I always like to keep my eye on the silver lining, keep my eye on the ball as far as what are we trying to accomplish in this life. And you got to keep it positive. I mean, you can spiral down those negative roads if you want to, but that's not going to help us. So we have to keep in mind, keep thinking, okay, what is the next best thought? What is the next thing that's going to help us, keep our energies up? Because it is so easy to drop down. This 3D construct makes it so easy to drop down in vibration because it's not a construct that's for us. I mean, we are not broken beings. There's absolutely nothing wrong with us. The problem is we're just, we've been put in a realm where our senses are overwhelmed, where so many things are just really not out there to help us, and we're trying to remedy that, each and every one of us, one at a time.
Yeah, it's refreshing to read down through your chat and know that I'm with like-minded people. I mean, you guys have the best of the best here as far as your the people in the chat here. They're talking about HAARP, and they're talking about all the other things that I've been talking about for a couple decades now. And yes, Terry, we've been channeling since 2008, I believe. Somewhere around I'm pretty sure it was around 2008. And it's just amazing that all of the people that I'm seeing now, back then it was really hard. You couldn't really talk about much of anything. And, you lose your family, your friends. And I know people are still doing that even today. But I'm glad that you guys have stuck with this for many years. And, I had to take a break after a while because back then, I mean, YouTube, you could only put like a 10-minute video on. They didn't have, I wanted to do live action broadcasts. I'd go there and I'd film it, and the technology wasn't there. The internet wasn't there, the Wi-Fi, the towers. And yeah, we, if they could make a more healthy system for us to communicate, that'd be great. And, back then we didn't even have anything. At least now you have a choice of using it or not using it, and we can reach more and more people. And, it's just refreshing to see how enlightened your followers really are.
We are very, very attached to them. They are very, very good people, very awake, and they get it. So it is nice to be amongst other people of like mind where you don't have to constantly tell the backstory, and you guys support each other in there. We help each other. Like I said, this awakening is not about just us, it's about all of us joining in the awakening.
Yeah, I feel that we're at a different place now. It's time to entangle more with our family, and Modern Refugee is one of our family. He's a Patreon, he's been a supporter. We've had sessions. He's a great guy. Fred is awesome, and please do subscribe to Fred's channel too, as he's a great one for preparations and practicality. Look at this. Rivers, obstacles, and resources. Home defender. I mean, he gets into some things that we don't cover, but man, old canning books. I mean, this is great. Fred is awesome. So I didn't mean to do a live stream just talking about other channels, but at the same time, now's the time to do that, because we need all the information we can pull from each other, and the skills. And man, if we can't all tie together in one place, but we can connect through the internet. And of course, R. Wayne Steiger that Cindy and I connected with, who is, we just resonate so much. We absolutely love him too. And his family felt like our family. That's because we're all one big family here.
One of the best things about Modern Refugee, he did a video, a really wonderful video on, what if your partner is not, resonating with you when it comes to the awakening. And he really touches the at-home things that are very, very, very important to us that we go through in our day-to-day lives. Very practical.
That old saying, birds of a feather flock together. Well, that's exactly what it is. That you're vibrating at a particular frequency, and you're going down these rabbit holes, and you start to raise in your vibration, And if the partner isn't doing the same or similar thing and you're not co-creating together, a lot of times you kind of get pushed apart. And that's the universe's way of saying, listen, you guys you need to co-create. And if you're not, then you're holding one another back. And so, again, the one thing that we've been told over the years is raise your vibration as high as you can. And, the old saying, feather brick truck. We were just talking about this the other day. And I'm a slow learner, apparently, because I always get hit by a truck. And then it's like, why me? Why did this happen? I'm trying to do the best for humanity, blah, 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 the victim thing. And, we're all, physical beings here. I mean, we're spiritual beings living out a physical experience, really. And so, I've experienced it in the past, and I thought that once you raise up in a particular vibration that you're good to go. But it's an ebb and flow. If you try to stay at your highest vibration, your best self, you surround yourself with people that are the same. You eat as well as you can, organic foods, high vibrational foods, and try to keep your vibration high. Maybe meditate, go within, and try to raise that vibration so that you're attracting more like-minded people, and you have a little bit of an easier go of this thing called life.
Oh, absolutely. And before I forget, I know Rosemary's right there. Rosemary, let us know what time is good for you, because it'd be a wonderful thing to have a show with you and Doc Joe at the same time. What a bunch of valuable resource that's going to be. So, again, there's so much good that's happening right now. There really is, even though everything's chaotic. The Secret Service is investigating what appears to be an inadvertent breach of restricted airspace Saturday over Palm Beach and Mar-A-Lago that caused U.S. military to scramble jets to escort multiple civilian aircraft out of the restricted zone. USSS spokesman Anthony Guglielmi tells me the interdiction was conducted according to established NORAD protocols and referred to NORAD for further questions about their protocols. Initial reports indicate civilian aircraft inadvertently entered restricted airspace over Palm Beach. Our protective intelligence teams are investigating further. Pilots are reminded to consult the FAA's temporary flight restrictions, those TFRs, before all flights. What's up with that? Again, the drone thing calmed down, and there's not even that much really going on that way, but here's some sort of intrusion. Curious?
Very curious.
Yeah, when you watch the news and some of these head officials, and it could be this country or other countries, whenever they say particular things, it's funny to watch the reaction, the result. And so we were just talking about cryptocurrency yesterday or the day before, and all of a sudden there was news about our country here in the USA having a reserve. And then from all those cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and XRP and all these other ones, they were dumping until that news came out, and then all of a sudden it shifted gears and went the other direction today. It was amazing to, be kind of tuned into it and just basically watching it. Obviously I've been down all these different rabbit holes, and of course I try to keep my finger on the pulse of things. And within a few hours, it's crazy how all of a sudden things shift. These are the times we're in. Hang on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Zelensky confirms he will resign if Ukraine is given NATO membership. Okay, I wouldn't hold your breath. And meanwhile, Vladimir Putin launched a hypersonic missile and reported bid to sink a foreign cargo ship said to be carrying weapons for Ukraine. Russia claimed it unleashed an Iskander-M missile that hit a Panama-flagged container ship called the MSC Levante soon after arrived in Odessa. Ukrainian sources suggest that 2 port workers were wounded in the strike, which also damaged infrastructure. It was established that in Turkey, the ship loaded additional containers of 2 colors on board, red and yellow, which contained British sea drones and weapons from Turkish NATO base. Upon arrival at the port of Odessa, the ship was hit by 2 missiles at berth number 2 at 1800. Is there any symbolism in that? After the strike detonations began, the cargo was completely destroyed and the ship sank. Curious. Again, it's tense. There is some momentum, out there. I just keep thinking back again about the Polish psychic's prediction that he's been given for months now, going back to December. He said, Trump is going to try to achieve a peace, but each time he tries, he's going to be rebuked. He's going to find it elusive, that there's just going to be one obstacle after another.
So I guess we're the witnesses of all this. It's funny how accurate that some of these psychics are, the mediums. When you're in the present moment of these individuals, it is like amazing the information that comes out. And I know some people have a hang up with the terminology, whether it be a deep channel or whether it be like deep trance. Edgar Casey, back in the day, and Nostradamus, all these people that we quote. But when you're in the presence, it's palpable. You can feel the high vibration of these energies. And I can't say enough about people that have taken the time and worked on themselves, gone within and worked on, because that's the hardest thing, is to take a look at yourself. You can work on, and look at the external all day long and in your physical, but when you go within and really take a look at yourself and get rid of some of the BS that you've been programmed and some of the experiences that you still carry today, it's amazing what you can do with yourself.
It is that ability to self-reflect and look in the mirror, and when somebody is talking to you, have that ability to reach inside of them and say, okay, well, what does this person need from me in this moment in time? And that takes practice. It's something that not everyone can do, and not everyone is ready to do, and sometimes it is a very, very difficult walk, but it is a good one. It is so worth it when you're able to finally find that inner peace.
So, as we're doing this right now, Joe's the doctor, but this time I got to do the surgery as Cindy was getting bit by a tick. Just out of the blue, she's sitting here, and she just felt something biting her, and it was a tick. So, yeah, they are different. So I just plucked it off with the tweezers. I've probably removed 1,000 ticks in my lifetime, literally, off myself, Cindy, the dogs, family members, friends, again. And the ticks are different. They are different now. They feel more mechanical, honestly. They move faster, and they seem to have longer limbs. Some of them do. Their legs are much longer than I've ever seen in the past. And I've noticed, too, that there's ticks that when you squish them, they're not red. Their guts are black as black nano goo.
Oh my gosh. So you want to have plenty of vitamin D in you all the time if you're in a place where there are ticks, because your body needs that to help fight it off. And then, I don't know, I put black seed oil on it where it was. But what's really weird is I can feel them now. Like I know right where they're at, and I know what it's going to do. And I'm like, so sorry about that. But, I hope we're at least entertaining.
Well, from what I just got to see, it was entertaining to me as I'm trying to talk over you guys. Oh my God, this is craziness.
Thanks, Joe.
I tried to do my part.
So, a lot of people are saying, okay, new administration's in place. Why are the skies still checkerboards? Look at this. It's a checkerboard, and we have, I want to say there's 5 or 6 states that have put legislation in to make it illegal, but it's still ongoing. This tells you literally that the ones that are really doing this are above the law, so to speak, or at least they think they're above the law. But even if we were to stop all this, all this spraying, would it still be being put in the sky, maybe by saucers, maybe by some sort of drones that are not ours? Because again, when you really look deep, this is not controlled by the governments that we see. No, it's way beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's amazing that the governors of each state are creating legislation, and I know Tennessee is one. And I started my trip from Pennsylvania on my way down through to Florida, and when I was in Tennessee, I looked up and they were still there. And so I was actually excited to go through that state and see if they had stopped them. So again, you can create laws, but who's gonna enforce it is what I'm wondering. And then on a national level, if this president comes out and says, okay, no more of this craziness, is it actually going to stop? I guess we're going to have to see.
Yeah, again, it's multi-level. And so if the corporations are still paying people to spray, then it's going to be up to the military or somebody, to enforce it. Well, don't you worry, never fear. 47 is now here. I don't know. Is he just going to suck the chemtrails straight out of the sky? We'll have to see.
Oh, we'll have to see.
One thing you guys could look up is the technology. It's pretty basic that you can create, and I've actually saw some people do this. It was kind of homemade, that a technology, and allegedly from the Pleiadian race, that they put it in their house and around their house, and the chemtrails would dissipate as they did this. And so whether this was, I wasn't there obviously, but it was fascinating to me, like, are there other things that we could potentially do individually for our own homes to protect us that would, again, praying over the home and doing the things that you could do to raise the vibration, but also are there technologies that are found out by our human brethren that can alleviate some of this stuff?
Yep. Well, Sita's just tired of it. She's had enough. No more chemtrails. So here you have again the British media basically saying it's time for war.
We are now at war in Europe. We need to move to a war footing. We are involved in that. We've mobilized our procurement processes. We're gifting equipment. We need to face Russia directly and rather than leaving Ukraine to do all the work. We are now.
How about no? How about we get rid of Keir Starmer and all the warmongers? Again, the problem is these insane psychopaths that run the governmental systems, because we'd all get along. I really do think that I do not believe that most humans are evil. I don't think that most humans want war. I think there's this psychopathic lunatic fringe that just basically creates the conditions that we have witnessed all of our lives.
Mm-hmm. They do. They create the conditions for us to be exhausted and tired, and we're usually not allowed to follow our soul, follow our mission, follow our life path.
Yeah, so again, the problem, reaction, solution deal that has been going on for decades. And, I'm with you, Mike. I let's just have peace. What would that really, true peace. I used to think it was just peace from war, but I'm talking like peace of mind, where you don't have to worry about going to the store and going, okay, let me check the label on every single thing that I buy. Wouldn't it be pleasant to just go and trust, or now be able to go out to eat? Because, I don't go out to eat anymore because you just don't know what's being provided for you, where it's sourced. God, there's just so many things that we take for granted or took for granted back in the day that now it's just, where's the water coming from? Is there fluoride in it? Is there, just on and on. I just want peace of mind.
Mm-hmm. Me too. I don't go out either, so we have 3 people here who will refuse to go out to a restaurant, which is sad because we have a good time. But Mike is such a good cook, it doesn't really matter.
That's
and
right.
I'm super spoiled, and now Joe is getting spoiled.
Yeah, well, again, my favorite thing in life before things got crazy and when you could trust food a little bit more, I know it's always been a problem, really, as far as the quality of the food, was to go and explore, especially little like mom and pop restaurants, and sample different cuisines. I've tried to eat cuisine from every country in the world. Basically, I love to. Oh wait, look, there's an Ethiopian. Or, oh wait, this is Indo-Chinese or whatever it is. Something that's rare, something that's different. Love to explore. I love exploring cultures and food. Culinary delights. It's great. This is the type of celebration that we should have. And also, we need to recognize that we are creative beings. We need to be creating. We are not automatons, just, destined to punch buttons all the time. No, that's not what our purpose is. We are creative in nature. And this world system is all about having humanity serve it. Well, its time's over, so let's just give the system the boot and let's try to design something much better.
I think a very difficult question to answer, and life shouldn't be this way, but what if you were to ask yourself, if I did not need to make money, what would I be doing with myself? And that's not something that comes automatically to most people because we haven't even been allowed to explore that.
Yeah, for sure. One of the things, before I forget, if you happen to live in Pennsylvania, specifically Bedford, there's a restaurant. It's an organic restaurant, Horn of Plenty. And so if I did go out to a restaurant, I would drive an hour from where I lived to take myself and family there. And it was more expensive, obviously, but it was farm to table. And they were very conscious of everything, down to the salt, the seasoning. And it was a refreshing place to go because you didn't even have to ask the waitress or the chef how they prepared it, because obviously I did it first, but it got to the point where, wow, okay, they really got this. This isn't just like, okay, well, we're using organic milk, but all the rest isn't organic, or it's even the seasonings. You know what I'm saying? It's down to even the seasonings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as I know a lot of you guys know, I've lived in so many different places. I've been a gypsy, moved 40 plus times. I would say some of the best restaurants that I've experienced actually in Tampa and in Columbus, Ohio. Great restaurants, but other places too. There's nothing like getting out there and sharing a meal with people, especially if it's friends. And I just hate to see what's happened when they're trying to give us fake milk, MILQ, I guess it's bio milk or milk Q, files for bankruptcy amid IP dispute that made it uninvestable and unacquirable. Again, the fake meat push, the fake milk push. Joe was even telling me they have fake eggs that look like real eggs. They could take all that fake stuff and stick it where the sun doesn't shine, because the reality is we get back to nature and the way things were in their natural state. No more GMOs, no more, pesticides all over your salads. We need to get back to truly being organic. We need to, eliminate all these different ventures, and a lot of them are tied to the Gil Bates guy, like this. Again, there's so many that you see coming back to the same cast of characters, and they certainly think that we want what they want for us, but we don't. They could eat it all they want, but not me.
I think that's the fair thing to do. It's like, go ahead and put it on your plate first.
Yeah, one of the things I'd like to add right now, we're talking about the chemicals and different things that are on our foods, especially like fruits and vegetables. If you looked into ozone, there's Dr. Rowan, MD. If you look him up on YouTube, he does a really good job of explaining ozone and what it does for the body. And when you do the research, it pulls off the chemicals from the fruits and vegetables. So if you say you have a large bowl of water and you put your fruits and vegetables in it, they have an ozonator, which actually they call it a puck. It's about the size, maybe a little bit bigger than a hockey puck, that you put into the water, and it ozonates it and pulls off all of the chemicals, and it actually kills the bacteria, viruses, etc. So it's something that you guys could look into. Again, it's always like, I hate to be putting out all the doom and gloom without giving some kind of, like, well, what can we do about it? Well, there are things we can do. We can avoid certain things. We can, look where we're sourcing our foods, and even the foods nowadays, they're depleted in vitamins and minerals. And so again, it's like, where could we source this? So there are some positive things that's going on in the world right now. We just need to, be strong and stand up and teach our family about these things.
As much as they will listen,
Yes.
That's the problem. It's like we have all this knowledge and information, but you can only give it to those who come to you. And sometimes family, they're not in a position to listen to what you have to say for various reasons. So there's that.
Yeah, and sometimes we assume that they know things, but don't assume anything, because you make an ass out of you and me. And that's so true. Don't assume anything. We have seen enough doctors, and other practitioners, again, saying, mom is going to be needing extra nutrients. Make sure you give her Ensure. That chemo is really rough, and number one ingredient, sugar. How about Enfamil and things like that? Again, when you look at infant formulas, a lot of times one of the first ingredients is sugar, and you don't want to do that. You got to look deeper. And really read labels, because they will change on you too. Being a parent keeps the brain young, especially if you got multiple kids. Well, I think, yes, the experience of parenthood appears to offer incredible benefits to both women and men. Of course, love does. And again, we should be like a kid in that we should have a whole bunch of youthful aspirations and look at every day as, what could I possibly experience today? Again, look at things with wonder. You must be born again. Yeah, and again and again and again, but you must appreciate what's here. And sometimes people get really, really depressed because of the dark matrix. But hey, we're going to leave that in the dust. This is a relic of the Kali Yuga, yet there is going to be a transition period. It's going to take some time, and we have to claw and scrape every inch of the way to let the system know we don't want this, we don't want that, we're not going along with this, we're not going along with that. Recognize that no bloody revolution ever led to any sort of long-lasting peace. The revolution we need is one in consciousness and awakening and recognizing what's truly good for us and what is not, what has been harmful all along. So it turns out parenting more children is linked to increased brain connectivity in areas that typically decline with age, suggesting parenthood may help protect against brain aging. The effect was seen in both mothers and fathers, indicating that caregiving experience, not just pregnancy, contributes to these brain benefits. Parents with more children also show greater social connectivity, and for men, stronger grip strength, both predictors of better brain health in later life. Is that not curious? But then again, there are so many things that can help us to lead more fulfilling lives. Surely, sharing love and, really being there for somebody else is one of the biggest things we can do.
Mm-hmm. You have that thing where you get to express love and concern, and that's just good for our soul. And children, they're the same. If they see that someone needs help, they will help them. So it's just automatic. And sometimes it might not be kids, it's your pets. People can give that love to their pets that's very, very safe, where the heart is secure and there's no fear, and you can give that love. And love is what makes the world move forward.
Yeah, so as you're talking, I'm just sitting here thinking about unconditional love and what that really looks like without fear or doubt. And speaking of unconditional love, we're in this thing together.
Indeed.
Yeah, I thought, boy, Joe, you're reading the next clip here. That is unconditional love. Absolutely. Look at that. Choosing to be with somebody, to be around somebody, to share your life and your experiences. Again, family. I love one of Cindy's most dear sayings to me is that friends are family that we choose to make. And this is a woman with 5 grandkids and 4 kids. So, she is talking about those other ones like you guys that we love and appreciate.
Yes, friends are the family you choose for yourself. And, those are the ones you want to hold close. But, of course, we love our blood family, too. It's just sometimes they can't hear us.
Right. You know what? It's funny. I'm reading the chat here, and this one person has 1 of 7, and my mom is a nutcase. And I was actually thinking, my poor mother, there's 5 of us, and when she gets mad, she goes through every single one of us, and a couple others that I guess I have another brother and sister, because the confusion is there's too many of us, and the poor woman, oh my God bless her, she's definitely a saint.
King James was talking about the black goo stuff and the self-assembling stuff. And, I have to share with you guys that from our direct experience, your frequency can short circuit all that stuff. That stuff is not going to function in you. If you could pull your frequency higher, it won't have any effect on you. We have gotten from the guides that at some point in time, the system won't be able to touch you. It literally will not be able to touch you. We are far more powerful beings than they ever want to let you know.
Indeed.
Namaste.
Namaste.
And thank you guys so much again. Please do subscribe to all 3 channels. If you haven't subscribed to Heart's Home, which is our newest channel, please do. There are unique playlists in all places. And of course, we want to thank all the Patreons out there. We couldn't do it without you guys. Wonderful support. And, these channels that we mentioned, Jared Boosters, Mind Unveiled, John Levy, and Modern Refugee, all wonderful people exposing the system, and our own beloved Dr. Joe with his older channel and his new channel to come. Again, there'll be a lot more coming in the future. Couldn't do it without you guys. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.